Hello and welcome to Maastricht University. Oh. Hello and welcome to Maastricht University's live master show, an interactive talk show where we'll be discussing multiple things that happen when you decide to choose a master at Maastricht University. My name is Shula Mensa and I'll be your host for today. Today we'll be answering questions that come in from you guys as students, but also frequently asked questions that master students tend to ask us as university students. I am not alone. Today I'm joined by three special guests. Right now I'm sitting only with two people, but later on we'll be joined by one additional guest. Firstly, I would like to ask one of my guests, Anna, to introduce herself, and then we'll go to Merit, and then we'll start the show. I'm pretty excited about it. Anna?
Yeah, hi, I'm Anna. I'm from the US, so I came here to Maastricht just this summer, and I'm doing a research master's in clinical and cognitive neuroscience with a specialization in fundamental neuroscience.
Impressive. Thank you, Anna. And Merit?
Hi, I'm Merit. I'm 21 years old. I'm from Germany, and I also did my bachelor's in Maastricht, European Studies at FASOS, and now I'm following the master's program, European Public Affairs.
Thank you. And as I just mentioned, we will be joined by additional guests after from the Student Services Center. Today we have a pretty packed topics that we'll be discussing. Firstly, we'll be going through the master programs that UM offers. Afterwards, we'll be discussing making your choice. I also made a choice to study here at Maastricht University to also do my master's. Then we'll be discussing problem-based learning. I think it's a phenomenon that most students when they hear Maastricht University, think about. We'll also be discussing scholarships. I personally have received a lot of messages from students that are very curious about this. And then we will have some practical tips from us to you guys as prospective students to kind of give you guys a guideline on how to survive Maastricht if you eventually decide to join here. To start off this show, looking at what we have here in Maastricht University, we have a lot of studies. I think the website sometimes can be very overwhelming, but it contains a lot of information. We actually have about 60 master programs. We have a short video to give you an overview of what kind of studies and what kind of study areas we offer here at school.
Decisions. How to choose a master's. What makes you happy? What makes you tick? What would you like to do for the rest of your natural life? Amen. These are fundamental questions, and they're the sort of questions you and other prospective master students may ask themselves before choosing a study program. Yes, heavy stuff. To find an answer, you may first want to decide on the type of masters. Will it be a regular program or a research program? Regular programs are taught and course-based. They basically follow the same format as your bachelor's. Research programs are more independent. Of course, you'll receive support and supervision, and you'll collaborate with other students, but the pace and format of your studies will be determined by your research work. Are you ready for research? Or is a regular program more suitable for your goals? Secondly, you may want to zoom in on the individual programs on offer. Maastricht University has more than 60 master's programs. To make the choice easier, some would say more difficult, Maastricht University has put all those programs into 10 categories. Categories? Well, you could call them themes as well, or fields of study, or areas of interest. No, not the 10 Commandments, because it's all up to you. Let's check them out one by one, briefly, because we don't want to bamboozle you with science. First, if you're an art lover or a cultural person, you may want to explore the impact of authors and artists on society, or look at arts from a business perspective, or focus on issues such as technology. There are 3 master's programs on offer in the arts and culture category. Behavioral Sciences has 5 programs, ranging from forensic psychology to mental health and neuroscience. And if you find it hard to choose, you may opt for human decision science. Fascinated by the world of business and economics? You can choose from no fewer than 19 programs, including auditing, econometrics, and fiscal economics. Want to learn more about learning? Go for one of the 2 education programs on offer. That will teach you a lesson. If you're a true citizen of the world, globalization and development might be just your subject. There are 4 angles: health, development, law and sustainability. Health and Life Sciences has as many as 18 programs for you, ranging from medicine to biomedical sciences and from neuroscience to human movement. We all know that studying law makes you one of the fortunate few. 10 programs on offer here, some Dutch, some European, some international. So, what will be your verdict? Media Technology and Innovation comes in 3 flavours: research, European Studies on Society, Science and Technology, and Digital Studies. Enter the world of power and decision-making with politics and governance. You can study and research developments from various perspectives: political science, history, sociology, philosophy. There are 8 programs for you. Last but not least, sciences, the hardcore university stuff, with 5 programs including systems biology, data science and artificial intelligence. As you will have noticed, there's quite some overlap, with some programs falling neatly into more than one category. Don't let this confuse you. Just follow your heart and your vision of your future, and you'll get there.
So, as the video showed, Maastricht University does offer a lot of master studies. Within the master track, you kind of have 2 different options that you can opt for. You can opt for regular masters, such as what I am doing and also what Merit is doing. But you can also opt for a research master, which is basically a 2-year master that kind of prepares you for a PhD study, if I'm correct. So when leaning towards Anna, who's actually currently studying a research master, what prompted that choice? Why did you decide to come to Maastricht University? And more especially, why did you decide to do a research master?
Yeah, when I was thinking about this decision of what I wanted to do after my bachelor, I knew I eventually wanted to get a PhD because I'm really interested in doing research in my career and possibly pursuing a career in academia. So I knew that was the sort of the path that I wanted to follow. And for me personally, I wanted to get more research experience before I got on to a PhD program. So I thought this master was a good opportunity for me to do that because it offers a 2-year program. And in the second year, we do a research internship. So I get to choose a lab that I'd like to be a part of to get that really hands-on experience while also earning my degree.
Okay, because you didn't do your bachelor studies in the Netherlands, no. Did the bachelor studies that you did before, did it really resemble research, or was it really hard to get used to the system of Maastricht University in a research master?
Mm-hmm. My bachelor's was a bit different than a master's here. I did get a little bit of hands-on experience, but it was at a very easy level and pretty basic. And it definitely was a bit different than here. I definitely have to put more work in for the master's. But that was expected, I think. It wasn't too hard to transition, I think, because I really like the material.
And do you have any tips for students that are actually considering a research master right now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when I was considering the program is for the research master in clinical and cognitive neuroscience, there's 5 different tracks for it, 5 different specializations. And I've heard that a lot of students have trouble picking which specialization. Mm-hmm. And I find that reading the courses that you get to take with each specialization or with any master program you could be interested in, reading the courses and seeing which ones you'd actually want to take is really helpful in choosing a program.
I mean, I myself also considered a research master, but I eventually opted for a regular master. And I think, Merit, you're also doing a regular master at FASOS. What prompted this decision for you?
I really liked my bachelor already, but I knew that was more the person who liked the practical parts more, so like the simulations and anything which was the closest to a later career already.
Yeah.
So I think that was a main point in the decision for the program I chose, because it's also European Public Affairs is really practical and you have a lot of contact with people who actually work in the field. Mm-hmm. So that's keeping me motivated to study a lot. But generally I also considered research because I genuinely like it a lot, but not enough to do a master in it. So the practical side won in that case.
But you did consider doing a research master?
Yeah, definitely. Like I looked at the programs, but I think it was just something which would prepare me better for a career, the European Public Affairs one, and also just getting to know the people already kind of helps to make a decision for what I want to do later.
Yeah. No, something that comes to mind is you mentioned, Anna, that here we think about students that are doing research that automatically enter into PhD life and also maybe in academia. Is that necessary? Do you need to have that mindset? Or can I, for example, do a research master and then eventually go to the professional or normal work field?
I think it's definitely a consideration when choosing a master. I can't speak about other fields, but I know that for my program and in neuroscience, a career in academia and research isn't the only option, and it's certainly not the only option you have to pursue after this master. A lot of students choose to go into industry and more drug industry work, so that wouldn't be it'd be more with a company rather than a university. But people also choose to go more into the clinical side of neuroscience as well. So it's not limited in what your career choices are.
Okay. Well, again, for the people that just zoomed in, we are live here at Maastricht University, an interactive talk show with 2 master students answering all the questions that you guys have. So if you have any and all things that you want to ask us, feel free to put them into the comment section or ask, how the social media works. You can just answer your questions. Something that you mentioned that I found very interesting is that you felt as if your bachelor's was more, let's say, easier than your master. For me, my bachelor is kind of an extension of my master, so it's not per se easier, it's just a bit shorter. Yeah. Do you have the same experiences, Merit, as you're also doing a regular master?
Yeah, I do think that the bachelor prepared me really well for the master, and I also do believe if I would have done the bachelor somewhere else, I would have maybe had a harder transition to the master. I would say that it's a bit more demanding generally, but maybe that's also just because you're more passionate about it, because you actually know that you want to work in the field, while doing the bachelor you're still kind of on the search of which subjects you like and where you want to go later.
Because the master that you chose is also literally a build up on the bachelor's that you did here at Maastricht.
Definitely.
Okay.
Like it builds on the program. It doesn't cover like all the aspects. For example, we have now lobbying, which I never had before, so there are definitely some new subjects which I really enjoy. But the first period was kind of a foundation just to make sure that everyone is on the same page.
Okay. Well, for me, I obviously studied international business, and I'm also doing a master in international business, so it's not a big surprise. But you did your studies not in the Netherlands, so I'm very curious to see, even though you say it's a bit easier, how different is it in relation between doing an actual master in a different country than what you did previously?
I think that is what has made it not like, it's not impossible, but it is a bit more difficult than my bachelor's. Because I did come to another country, I have a lot more exposure to different ideas and different cultures. And I think that's really helped with my studies. It's also that Maastricht has a very different teaching and learning style than my previous university, which I think has challenged me, but in a good way for my master's program.
Well, something that I questioned when I decided to do my master is to talk about whether or not doing a master is even necessary. Loads of my peers that I graduated with eventually decided to go and work. I stayed, I did a board year, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to start doing a master because I have no idea what I'm going to do in the future. Do you guys have the same thing? Or, I mean, I think for you, you already knew that you were going to go into research and academia.
Yeah, I kind of have always had a drive to strive for a PhD and do research in the field because I really love learning it. I really love learning new things about neuroscience, and then that involves doing research. So I kind of knew I wanted to get a master's degree, but I definitely didn't know it would be in another country when I first started.
Okay. Because you looked at other universities also within the US only, or also in
Europe?
I
mostly looked at universities within the US, I think.
Okay.
But.
And then Maastricht University was the place for you to come. And Merit, you did your bachelor's as I did here. Why did you stay? Not that it's bad to stay. Why did you decide to stay?
Like, I also consider other universities in the Netherlands and in Switzerland, but the main reason was just in these times, Corona, it's sometimes difficult to find a university which is reliable and which you really enjoy to study at. But I just felt like at Maastricht I knew the environment, but I still knew that there are going to be some challenges, which makes it interesting to continue studying, but also just that there is a stability that we will always have class even when we're in the lockdown. So there was one factor where I was really happy to stay, because I just know that I can rely on the fact that I will wake up every morning and have something to do in the tutorial. So yeah, and also generally comparing to other programs, I have to say I really like the mix between the practical and theoretical, and I could barely find that in any other university. So that was also a big reason why I wanted to stay.
Okay. No, I mean, it's important for students that are considering coming here, but also maybe there are students watching that are already studying their bachelor's and want to get a push to see, okay, is doing a master here also going to be relevant for me or important for me? And for you then, for students that are actually doing their master here, do you have any additional tips that can help them further?
I think we'd definitely check out before the programs, just so you know what to expect, and maybe talk to people who are already there, that are student ambassadors, or also just people you know, and ask them any questions you have. And yeah, of course, right now it's hard to come and visit the university, but yeah, I think online programs such as these, the events, they help also to just get a feeling on whether that's something for you. Like, that's how I decided before my bachelor as well.
And Anna, you came from a different country. How did you then explore this master? How did you find it? What information did you find online?
Yeah, I actually found the program through a US-based scholarship. Maastricht had a specific Fulbright scholarship linked to it. So I found the program that way, but I decided to come here without the scholarship. But it really sounded like a really good program that I was very interested in. I was super interested in the courses that it mentioned on the website, like I said, and it really seemed that like the research experience that I would get would open up a lot of doors for me to really go wherever I wanted with my PhD, instead of feeling like I had to stay in the US or something.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for those that are watching, Maastricht University, for me, also offered loads of other options. We have the virtual experience days. Unfortunately, they're virtual right now with the pandemic that is happening, but hopefully we'll have it in real life pretty soon. And also open days that are virtual, and talking to other students, which is very possible. And of course, this live show. Things that you guys both mentioned within your answers, and which I really recognize myself with, is the way that we are taught here at Maastricht University. So we basically do the problem-based learning here. And this is also actually one of the reasons why I decided to come to this university, and kind of one of the reasons why I decided to stay at this university. So for those who don't know, problem-based learning is the way of teaching here at Maastricht University. It is the interactive group work system that we have here. We work in smaller groups, smaller tutorial rooms. Tutorials, for people that don't know, are the classrooms that we have. And the purpose is that we as students kind of engage with each other to come up with answers toward cases. And we have teachers, or tutors as we call them. And these tutors kind of play a more passive role in the discussion, as the students are basically more in charge with what is happening right now. And problem-based learning also really discusses current issues. So it really helps us to kind of relate what we're learning on paper towards what is actually happening in real life, which I think is very useful and very helpful, especially if I'm a person that I cannot only look at theory. I need to imagine what is happening, how I can use it in the real world. We have a video on problem-based learning that also basically explains it probably better than I did. So I'm very excited to show you that.
Problem-based learning, or PBL. What does that mean exactly? 3 of my fellow students and I will show you around. Every week, we analyze a different case or issue together. We discuss the case, and everyone can contribute different perspectives to the group discussion. If we get stuck, our tutor helps us out and suggests what we could do next. I prefer going to the library to prepare. Here, I can focus, and I have quick access to books or journals that help me understand the case. Today, I can also train my stitching skills in the Skills Lab, where you can immediately put into practice what you've learned. After a day like this, I like going to the gym to clear my head and get ready for the next day.
At UM, you meet people from all around the world. Hello guys. Some of them are doing their exchange semester here, and they often say that PBL helps them learn and retain things very easily. I can understand why. It's a very active way of learning because you have to bring your own perspective to real-life cases. You have a lot of freedom to manage your time, your studies, your hobbies, and your work. Of course, that also means a lot of responsibility. Right now, for example, I'm arranging my exchange semester in Madrid. How cool is that? In this group session, we're the managers who have to allocate the resources of a real company. This is how we put into practice what we learned this morning. Studying here means being proactive and learning to plan well. Prioritizing and performing well under stress are great skills that help you develop as a person. But now, it's time to grab a coffee at the Student Service Center.
Right now, we're at the Brightlands Camelot campus. Here we can apply knowledge from lectures and tutorials in a practical setting. This helps us understand what we have learned and further develop our lab skills. Today, we're determining the amounts of cholesterol in various products. What I really like is the project periods at the end of each semester, where we complete a full research project that includes planning, collecting data, analyzing, and presenting the findings. That way we learn how research works and we're able to see what it's like to be a real scientist. After practicals, I have to write a lab report that also helps me process everything I have learned today. has a lot of learning spaces where you can work on your own or with other students. This evening, I'm meeting my friends for a movie night organised by the MSP Study Association.
If you study law, you have to read quite a lot. Not all information is relevant, so you learn how to easily find the information you need to solve your case. In the afternoon, I have to give a presentation, so I like to practice it with a fellow student. Later today, a lawyer is giving a lecture. This will help us better understand the case we're working on. Speaking in front of a group is quite exciting the first time round, but you get to used to it quickly. And having to present helps you also to adopt knowledge better. What I like the most is that we sometimes get to enter a plea in front of a real judge. These moot courts are really exciting. Now it's time for drinks with friends. Studying is important, but so is relaxing once in a while.
Back to Maastricht University Live Masters Edition, an interactive talk show. Again, if you have any questions or anything that you're curious about, feel free to ask them or put them in the comment section and we'll try to answer them better. As you can see, or you probably cannot see, but I am joined by a new member on the table. Welcome to my table. Daniela, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes, of course. I'm Daniela. I work at the Scholarship Office at the Service Student Center of Maastricht University. And I'm here for scholarship questions.
Yes. Before we go to the scholarship questions, because I think a lot of students are also very eager to hear answers, you also did your master's here, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so you can also give your insight on PBL and also how it has changed over the years. I'm very curious about that. As you can see, we just saw a video on problem-based learning. I also recognize a lot of my peers in this video, so it was actually pretty funny to see. As I said, problem-based learning is one of the reasons why I decided to come to this university. You, Anna, also mentioned it previously that it is different than the way that you were taught when you were back in the US. What are the main differences you think PBL offers compared to a conventional study area?
Yeah, I mean, definitely my bachelor was more characterized by lectures and learning in that method. So I was used to lectures, I was used to sitting in a lecture and then just having to review the information for exam. But for here, instead, when we have tutorials, we're given a case, like was mentioned in the video, and you really have to develop your own learning goals. And then for my track specifically, we have to sometimes find our own literature to answer those learning goals. So it's a lot more self-study for me. It's a lot more independent learning. And I really like that because I think it engages me with the material more and helps me learn it better to, like, if I can explain it to someone else, then I know it better for myself rather than just listening to it.
And then what do you think, because I can assume from the story that you like PBL,
Yeah.
are there any advantages or things that you think will help you in your future academic career or in your future career that PBL offers?
Yeah, I think it's definitely helpful for students to get more courage in teaching like other students, or being able to speak out against, like, about what they think, what they've learned, and be able to discuss it better than just sitting in a lecture. Yeah, I think that's the main thing.
And would you recommend PBL for everyone? This is a question that I receive especially from parents that are thinking of sending their children to Maastricht University.
Yeah, I think it's really good for everyone. Obviously, everybody has a little bit of a different learning style, but I think PBL is a good way to learn. It definitely helped me get out of my shell. I was a bit quieter in my bachelor's, and now I'm more comfortable talking out in groups and presenting. So I think it's good in that way. I think most students feel it helps them learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's up to the individual, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I tell most students, also parents, that actually the most shy students are the people that I feel as if should make use of PBL, as it kind of pushes you out of that box of comfort that you're in. But it's also a small group, so it's not that you're kind of thrown out to the wolves. You're kind of in a comfortable area trying to engage with your students. And Daniela, I'm not sure if you're familiar with how PBL is done now, but do you think it has changed very much over? It's probably not been that long, but it changes every year. So I guess that there are some differences that you experience when you're doing your master's and what we're experiencing now. Do you think that it has changed?
Yeah, I think it will change every year to make it better. But the core of PBL is that it's interactive. You know, you talk to your fellow students. You're not sitting and listening. And I think it's very important to do so if you're very shy, like you told us, Jess. But also if you're kind of, I don't know if lazy is the correct word, but if you're not that proactive, then it's a very good idea, because you have to be prepared for every lecture, and not only at the end for your exam. So I would recommend it to everyone. Yeah.
I mean, I can definitely see myself in that. Not to say that I'm lazy, but I'm a very big procrastinator. A very big procrastinator. So PBR really helped me to kind of get that push, because also you don't want to get to class and not say anything because people will probably be looking at you like, this girl probably did not prepare anything. And one thing that I'm curious about, because I haven't entered the professional work field yet, how has PBL impacted you in your professional work field right now?
Yeah, I think you're really used to speak in a group and give your opinion, you know. If you're only sitting in a lecture hall listening to the professor, you're not used to establishing your own opinion. You're just sitting there and listening. And now you have to establish your opinion. You have to communicate it. You have to be able to communicate it in a good way and also be proactive. So I think it really helps you in your future as well, because sometimes in your job in the future, maybe you also have it now, you know, at student jobs, but you have to be proactive. You have to be there and you know, be there.
Okay. Well, I hope that, I'm actually pretty sure that it will help me, because it did help me in the various student jobs that I had. We have a question in the Q&A, which is also something that perhaps we can answer. And the question reads as follows: how does the education look like? Do you have many individual projects, exams? As you're doing a research master, which is kind of different than my master, how does your PBL, let's say, how does your week look like?
Yeah. I mean, again, I can only speak to my program in the research master, but basically our education looks like we have a couple of lectures, but not very many per course. We usually have 5 or so tutorials per course. But many of our courses actually have practical laboratories as well. So sometimes we do get into the laboratory to do things on a weekly basis. But yeah, it's usually maybe a couple lectures and taking notes, but mostly a PBL session or two per week, and going through material and preparing for that as well. Yeah.
I think, especially for the viewers, it is important to know that it depends on what master study you're doing. So as you explained, as Anna explained her experiences, it's a bit more different for me. I have no labs, but I study business and economics, so I'm not pretty sure what we'll be doing in labs. But I do have a lot of group work, loads of team presentations and exams. It does look differently as, unfortunately, we are in a pandemic at the moment. So can I ask you actually how education with PBL looks like right now for you?
Yeah, I think at the beginning of this year it was a bit difficult for everyone. They started out that we would have our labs in person, and we can do that safely with masks and everything. We started out that our tutorials and our PBL sessions would be hybrid, so a couple students would go into the room at university and discuss with the students who were online as well.
Okay.
Honestly, this proved a bit challenging because of technical issues, so we had problems hearing each other. So right now, for a couple courses, we've done it all online, which limits your contact with people, but we still have good conversations, and we still have conversations on the call that aren't necessarily related, so just casual conversations as well.
Yeah. I think especially for students that are joining the university soon, as we don't know what next year would look like, it has proven to be a very eventful time period. Anna has hybrid or sometimes is fully online, but for example, I have a mixture. So students in the beginning of the school year can opt for completely online studies. So if due to the pandemic you're not able to travel to the Netherlands, or you can opt for 50-50. So I actually do have online physical classes. 50% of the time I'm at the faculty. Smaller groups, only 5 students, so we can keep that 1.5 meter distance. But we still then have online Zoom meetings to kind of mix it up. And I think for my sanity, it really helps to sometimes have this physical. I think this also really helps me right now. But do you have a lot of individual projects and exams in this time period?
Yeah, I think most of our projects are group projects. So whatever course you're currently taking, some courses have an exam at the end, but some more have a paper or a presentation you have to do instead of an exam. So not every course has an exam, but a lot of the presentations you work in a group, so you really work with other students to learn the knowledge. Sometimes we'll have individual projects, but I think it's mostly group work, which is really helpful.
Yeah. I think for me, again, it really differs, but the gist of PBL is that we need to work together as a team, as a group, together with your peers to try to come towards that one final solution. And sometimes you do have individual papers or exams. My exams, for example, are more papers, as we cannot go to a big lecture hall, big exam hall to do it. And one thing that I do recommend students that are also thinking of coming to Maastricht University is that group work is a must. I think we've mentioned that word a lot of times, and teams a lot of times. If you're very phased and you're like, oh, I do not like people, I do not like to engage with people, I might reconsider, but it really helps you to gain this like social network, especially in this time of pandemic. The social network of making friends when you're a new student is very hard. This is your first year, right?
Yes.
Here. How did you manage that? How did you come to Maastricht knowing that we have more online classes? We do have physical classes, but then not knowing anyone here.
I think it's been a bit of a challenge, but I've made a lot of good friends. I'd have to say most of my friends are in my program because I don't have a lot of ways to get in contact with students from other programs. But I have met a couple people around the city that aren't in my program, but I mostly, we have Zoom meetings sometimes that aren't necessarily for school, for university, that we can just meet up and chat and hang out and actually get that contact to meet people without feeling the pressure of university. So I have been able to meet people. It's a bit challenging, I'll say, but I still really like it here and feel like I made friends.
Yeah. No, I think I have the same thing with 1.5 meter distance, of course. And then leaning towards PBL and the way that we study, actually deciding to come to Maastricht University also comes with different choices. Do I like the city? Do I like the study? can I afford it? It's something that loads of students also ask themselves. For Dutch and European students, the tuition fee works a bit different. And I think I also mentioned in the beginning that loads of students are also very curious. I want to come to this university. PBL sounds great. You know, everything sounds fun, what Merit and Anna have been telling me. But let's talk about the money. Basically, bluntly being said, you are a scholarship officer. Please explain your job to us.
Yeah, we work at the scholarship office. So we have a lot of different scholarships at Maastricht University, with a lot of different target groups as well. So people can apply to a scholarship, and yeah, we do the whole administrative process towards those scholarships. So of course the faculties do the selection of students, because we don't have the knowledge, we don't know, which program fits to what student. Yeah. But we do all the paperwork basically.
Okay. And one of the things that I keep reading is, okay, how do I make more chance to getting this scholarship? Can you check my CV? Do I need special qualifications? What do I need to tell students, or what can we tell our peer students that are actually asking, okay, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I qualify. Do you have enough scholarships? I think that is one of the biggest questions. Do we have enough scholarships, or how is it distributed?
Well, I don't think you have ever enough scholarship, because I think everyone wants to have a scholarship.
Yeah, nice.
But unfortunately, that's not possible. I think Maastricht University offers about 75 scholarships. That is different scholarships, and some scholarships offer like 25 scholarships and some only one. But the main thing is that it's very, very competitive. For example, we have the Holland High Potential Scholarship, and every year we have about 1,200 complete files. So that's only the complete files. So a lot of people apply and they do not hand in their application form, or they do not add a motivational letter or a reference letter or something like that. Yeah. So the complete files only 1,100, 1,200, and we only have like 25 scholarships. So, it's about 2% chance of getting that scholarship. So it's very important for people to know that it's not like, okay, I apply for a scholarship and I will get one. No, It's very competitive. So that's really not to disencourage anyone, because there are a lot of people who get a scholarship at the end. So it's very important to make sure you have a complete file, you have uploaded all the things you need to upload, but also that your motivation is very good. You have to write a motivational letter. So make sure that you emphasize in that letter why you need to have that scholarship. Of course, when we look at the Holland High Potential again, it's for high potential students. So also work hard in high school and in your bachelors to have high grades. So that helps a lot as well. And it's also a little bit of luck, because I think in those 1,100 students, there are a lot of students which are very good, have high grades or high potential, but a selection has to be made. So it's also a little bit of luck. But high grades is very important as well. Yeah,
because I know scholarships are not really a Dutch thing. I know it's more, from my experiences, I know in America it happens a lot that students receive scholarships, but you did mention that you were trying to think of, or you were considering doing the Fulbright scholarship. Yes. But then you decided not to go for it. Was it because of the application that was not complete, or? No,
I initially applied for the Fulbright scholarship and applied for Maastricht together. Like many of the scholarships here, like the High Potential one, it's very competitive. So I didn't bank on the fact that I would get it at all. And initially I didn't think that I would come without the scholarship, but actually the professors here encouraged me to come despite the fact that I didn't get the scholarship, which was really nice. But I think, as a non-EU student, the tuition here is a bit more for me, but not as much as in the US. So scholarships are good. I would definitely encourage everyone to apply for them.
Yeah, I think we can do a whole different webinar on US tuition fees, so stay tuned. Are you also experienced in admissions, for example? Because we do have a question from our live audience that I am not sure if I dare to ask you.
You can always ask. I don't know if I know the answer.
Well, it's actually, and reading the Q&A, it's actually about admissions requirements. If we need a GMAT to apply specifically due to COVID? And I feel as if this question is a very hard one to kind of predict whether or not you need it. And if yes, what other specific documents could replace the GMAT?
Yeah, and that's really specific, so I really cannot answer that.
Yeah.
Those questions are always for the admission officers.
Yeah.
Some programs require a GMAT, others don't. Some programs have a pre-master, for example, so there are a lot of options, and that's for each admission officer to decide if it's necessary for that program. So send an email.
Yeah, it's what I was gonna say for students that have very, very specific questions based on a specific study. Send an email. The website of maastrichtuniversity.nl also has a lot of information, but it also gives you specific links for people to contact in case you have questions about what was asked. For me, I am a Dutch student. I have a Dutch passport. I did not necessarily need a scholarship, but I do know loads of international students, and perhaps this is also very interesting for you, Anna. We could still get some type of financial aid, especially if you're a non-European student. Can this replace, let's say, a scholarship? And what does it mean to have this financial aid as a non-EU student willing to come to Maastricht University but not being financially able to afford it?
Yeah, well, you can also always apply for a scholarship. Like you said as well, Anna, you can always try because some people get it, so please try. There are some financial aid programs, for example, US loans, but those are like loans, so so that's not a scholarship. There's also from the Dutch government. There are the study finance you can apply for, but you have to meet the criteria, obviously. So also have a look at our website, because there are a lot of information about financial aid, and also how to budget your study, and what studying in Maastricht will cost. Like you said, for non-EU students, the tuition fee is a lot higher than for EU students. So that's also, you have to take that into account as well. But have a look on our website. There are a lot of information available.
More than we think. Do you have any, let's say, last tips for students that are right now, okay, I'm going to use this Christmas vacation and I'm going to do other research? And I think one of the tips that you gave was have a complete application. But do you have anything else that students can, take with them whilst they're doing research? Any websites or something?
We have a scholarship website, so all our scholarships are mentioned on that, and you have a great list with, like, if it's bachelor or master, for which countries it is, for which study programs it is. So if you click on a scholarship, you have all the information. So also have a good look at the application procedure. And the most important thing is always apply to a study program first, and then you get the login details, and then you can apply to a scholarship. And keep the deadlines in mind, because for the UM Holland High Potential is at February 1st already, so it's getting quick. Others are just coming on the site on January, so keep an eye on the website.
And you don't need to pay the tuition fee before, let's say, you apply for the scholarship, so you can just apply for the study and then choose to apply for a scholarship, basically. And I think in all scholarships the tuition fee is incorporated, so you never have to pay the tuition fee up front, but you have to take in mind that if you don't get the scholarship, you have to pay the tuition fee, otherwise you will be deregistered after some time. So. Thank you, Danielle. And just to kind of lean towards you as a student, before we go into discussing what it's actually like to be a student here in Maastricht, Anna, you also did the application, or you started to do the application. From a student perspective, do you have any tips for the viewers that are considering applying for a scholarship?
Yeah, I think definitely the website was really helpful to me to see all the list and to see what was available. So definitely apply for whatever you can. But just look at the list, do your research while you're applying, because some are study specific, some are country specific. So you gotta know.
Okay, thank you. And I think we have a link by the people that are working with us that will share every information that Danielle also has shared with us. So thank you. I think this really helps also for me with all the questions that are coming in, that students know, okay, this is what is on the table and this is what we can offer. And there are also other options in case you cannot get a scholarship, that there are loans available. But I think right now we can send them the correct link for all the information that they can find. Studying in Maastricht also goes way beyond, you know, the financial issues or the choices with studying. I think one of the more fun things also to talk about, at least for me, is, yeah, practical tips, reasons why we decide to come to Maastricht University, housing, work, because sometimes as students, life is tough, so we need to work to earn a bit of money. You came from the US. I'm not sure which city you're from, or
I'm from near Boston, actually.
okay, so Boston, I assume, wild assumption, is very different from Maastricht.
Yeah.
Why? Like, what do you like so much about Maastricht?
I think I had been to the Netherlands once before, and I really fell in love with it. I had been to Amsterdam, actually, and I'm not a big city person. It was a lot of people in Amsterdam for me, but I really loved the country. So I found Maastricht, and I found that it was a smaller city with a really close community environment, and the school has a good community. So I think that's what really initially attracted me to the city.
So you came to Maastricht actually before you studied?
I didn't come to Maastricht, just the Netherlands in general.
For the viewers, thank you, Anna, that joined again. This is the live show of Maastricht University, Master's Edition. Right now we're discussing, practical tips about studying here, how we as students like it. I'm joined again by Merit. Hi, Merit. Welcome to the table. We missed you. So Merit, you decided to stay, but you're from Germany, right?
Yes.
Why did you... I know Maastricht University has a lot of German students here, but I actually never asked one of the German students why they decided to choose from Maastricht University. So this is my opportunity.
I'm happy to give an answer. I would definitely say I didn't really like the German university system because it's really passive and you mostly have lectures, and I was always a person who wanted the group work and the interaction already in high school.
The PBL.
Exactly, because I really like the real life case studies of PBL and just the practical aspect, and which is just way closer to what I probably will do later. And also as a child, we often went to the Netherlands on vacation, which is, I guess, a German thing. And there I already liked the country very much. So it's not too far from home, but far enough to be in a different system. And generally I always wanted to study in a really international environment because I thought it's interesting to just hear a lot of different backgrounds and opinions in class, which I think makes you more tolerant and open generally than just being with other Germans, I guess.
And I mean, you've been here for a while. Unfortunately, Anna, you came in 2020. You know what happened in 2020. But you mentioned traveling. I'm not sure if you have done a bit of traveling whilst you've been here.
Just close by, really, not too far.
Did you go over the border?
I have been over the Belgian border, not the German border.
Okay. I mean, I think the Belgian border is a 15-minute walk
it's
away
very
from
close.
And you've never been to Germany?
No.
Not yet? Okay,
not yet.
Perhaps we can plan a trip when
Definitely.
everything is
That'd be
nice.
great. I'm dying to go.
I mean, we can go. That's one of the questions that I asked. Is it easy? I mean, I'm from The Hague, so I travel by train, which takes me 3 hours. It's probably shorter to go to Germany than to go back home. But is it easy for you? I mean, you did your bachelor's here. Did you travel a lot? Is it easy to travel?
Yes, definitely. Like in the beginning, we visited a lot the other Dutch cities, like typical Amsterdam, Rotterdam, but we also went to Belgium and other cities in Germany, and sometimes on vacation. And I just think Maastricht is a really small city, which is super nice to study, but you're quite quick at the airports as well. So if you're from another country, it's easy to go by train or plane home, which I think is really nice, especially for the ones who want to go home for holidays.
I think you can travel by train or like a BlaBlaCar or something really easily. So I hope after this everything has calmed down, you can also explore the traveling of Maastricht University. And when you came here, and especially for you, what kind of activities do you tend to do right now, especially with what is happening?
I mean, I definitely try to get out of the house a bit. I love to bike around. It's really nice. I've never experienced like a culture that's so dedicated to biking, so I really enjoy that. There's a lot of nice walks and hikes around Maastricht that I enjoy. I also get together with friends to do drawing, and I think there's a lot of different things in the city that have really been nice activities to do.
Do you have any tips for students that are joining to see what can Anna additionally do to all her
I would definitely say also like sports and walks outside, because I think that's also the best way to do it according to the corona measures, but also just maybe over Zoom do a cooking night together, just something fun, what you already mentioned before, to get to know the others in class. And yeah, I hope it's soon over and then we can party together next
Yeah.
year. But yeah, generally I think Maastricht has a lot to offer, like also the museums.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a really nice city where you can explore a lot and hopefully even more soon.
And I mean, all these activities that are mentioned, of course, we need money to invest or finance these. And as students, we talk about having part-time jobs or student jobs. For example, my part-time job was working for the university, which was very easy because then, I don't have to rush from one job to another. I was already in the system. But I think one of the questions that is also coming from the Q&A that I'm not sure if you guys both have student jobs.
yeah.
I think this is also your... No. What part-time student jobs are there available for international students, so non-Dutch speakers? I'm not sure if you learned Dutch in the past 3 months that you've been here. And how can you apply for it?
I've learned a little bit of Dutch, but definitely not enough to like have a Dutch-speaking job yet. So I was able to find a job working for the university as a student ambassador for my program. So I do have a job there. I know other students who even have been able to get jobs at restaurants around the city while they were open, even if they don't speak Dutch. And there's a lot of other jobs that I've heard of. Even there's Facebook groups for student jobs for students who may not speak Dutch as well. So I think there's definitely opportunities for it.
Yeah, I think especially because Maastricht University is so international that, it's 1/3 of the city is students, or a quarter, sorry, of the students, of the people that live here are students, that the city kind of embraced the internationalism. It's the most international university in the Netherlands, actually. So finding a job as a non-Dutch speaker, it's a bit more easy from what I can recall from other studies. But you're also doing a student job?
Yes, I'm also working for the university, which was of course the most convenient. But yeah, in between I also did some modeling, but I think that's not the most
you did modeling in Maastricht?
Yeah, like in the Netherlands.
Oh, okay.
But
can we see you in any papers?
Maybe. My chair later. But yeah, generally I also think that there are definitely possibilities also when you don't speak Dutch, like in bars, restaurants, which is right now of course a bit difficult, but yeah, also call centers. But yeah, I personally like the most working for the uni because it's also really combinable with your studies, and yeah, I think it's just easier than rushing somewhere else, as you already said before. But I do think that it seems more difficult to get a job as an international student at first than it actually is when you start looking into it.
Yeah, I think as Anna mentioned, there are so many Facebook groups and so many like word of mouth and asking a friend, can you hook me up with a job or something? Do you know someone? Do you know somewhere? I think with this job, I also referred loads of peers that are willing to be ambassadors for their study. I think in essence, I've told many of my friends it's actually kind of the best student job that you can have, because you get to talk about your study that you're experiencing and you get paid for it.
It's pretty nice, yeah.
One of the things that you came recently and you have been here that I wanted to discuss then is student housing, because I think everywhere you go in the Netherlands, student housing is one of the main topics that people try to discuss. Okay, is it easy to get a house? For me, I found my room on Facebook. I think I was very lucky as my room is super central. I'm not gonna say where I live as I'm not sure who's watching, but was it harder, especially for you, to find a place to live, and how did you even find a place from the US?
Yeah, I was definitely intimidated about finding a place at first, because I didn't even know if I would be able to come here, but I also needed a house if I was gonna come. So I also found my room on Facebook. There's a lot of different Facebook groups that I think are very helpful, but there's also websites from the university that are really helpful as well. But I found my room quite easily on Facebook. The biggest tip I would give people is to start searching early, because I know several people who started too late and then it was very stressful for them to find a room. So
I think Facebook, despite everything, sometimes is very helpful. And Merit, how did you find you've been living here for, I assume, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, 4 years.
How did you find your place?
Actually also over Facebook. And as soon as you move here, you also get to know people. So if you want to switch places, what I did over time, I think it's just really easy if you ask friends, because then they know someone who knows someone. And generally I would also align with Anna, start early, like assumingly in May, June, then it's the right time. And also, don't transfer any money before actually seeing the room, at least in a video call or something.
Yes, that is a very good one.
I think besides that, like, definitely Facebook groups and also the Maastricht Housing University page helps a lot.
Yeah.
And even if it's just for 1 month and then you can still settle here and find a place for then, I think that should be good.
I think what you just mentioned, Maastricht Housing, especially for students that are very new to the city, it's a website that has loads of housing offers, works together with the university, but also the University of Applied Sciences that is in Maastricht, to basically offer, rooms and houses, studios, apartments, and shared room living spaces for students that are looking. I think for international students that, for example, do not use Facebook, Maastricht Housing, is the place to be, as sometimes rooms that we can find are super expensive.
Yeah.
Again, do not send money to random people because we see that a lot as students, that students send messages. I send money and I never heard something back. Don't. But that's social media 101. Is it expensive besides tuition costs and those kind of things? Maybe for you, Anna, first, I guess the standard of living in the US is a bit different than in the Netherlands. Do you find it expensive, or do you think I can survive without even having a job?
Yeah, I think it's definitely affordable for me, but that depends on how you budget yourself. Like I tend to budget myself very, not strictly, but I manage my budget and I make sure I'm on track. So for me, I can manage with the job I have now. I'm not stressed about it. But I think as far as rent goes, there's a wide range. Like I have a very affordable rent in my opinion, but I know other students who are paying a lot more because they can afford it. Yeah. So I think when searching for housing, you definitely have a wide range, and you need to consider your budget living there and how you expect to spend it.
Yeah, I think for rent also there's like government subsidies, but again, more information on the website because I can hold a whole monologue about it. And for you, was it expensive? Is it expensive?
I would say compared to like German or European standards, it's just like the big cities, what you expect to rent a room. But I also think depending on your budget, it's easier to find something like living right in the city center. Of course, it's more expensive than a bit outside. Yeah. So if you want something cheaper, I would go around the city center bubble. Yeah. But definitely, I think it's comparable to any other big city. So nothing too shocking to me, at least.
I mean, personally, I don't have a budget, which is not that good. So I spend whenever I feel like spending, which is also not recommendable. That's why I think having a student job kind of keeps me sane, not to go into extreme debts or spend all my studying money on that. Do you guys have any last tips for students that are, now we've watched this live show, we know that we want to make this decision, we're gonna, apply for a scholarship, and if not, we see what kind of governmental loans are there. I'm gonna rephrase this question. Firstly, Anna, what do you think you would have liked your current you to tell your previous you when you're applying? Anna, this is what you have to do and this is what you shouldn't do.
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest tip would be to start on time. Like I stressed myself out by waiting a bit too long, too close to the deadline. So I think that's one big thing, both the deadline for the application, for the scholarships, and for housing. Just make sure you start on time. I think something I don't know what I wouldn't have done. I think it was different for me because I was more stressed about being able to come here with Corona rather than the whole, I'm actually going to a master's program. I was more about like, will they let me on the flight to come here? So I was a bit distracted, but I think my biggest tip is start everything on time. Just manage your time well if you really want to come here.
Yep. Thank you, Anna. And Merit, do you have any wise words for our viewers?
I would say I'm personally a bit too over-organized, but definitely it's good to be organized and just try to talk to people who actually study it, because that helped me a lot, because sometimes you have more specific questions and they can help you answer that. Yeah. But generally, if you feel like this is your studies, then go for it, apply for it, and come here and don't worry too much about everything like I did. So I think it's a really nice city to study in, and you're also really welcomed. And it's just good when you know you will like the program to just relax and come here, organize your housing on time, and then everything will be fine.
And then speaking of relaxing, I actually thought of a question. For example, if everything opens up, you haven't experienced it yet, but then I was like, are there any places that you're like, here's where I go have a coffee or have a drink with some friends, or any places that you can recommend? To maybe Anna, because this is very useful
I
for her
even
right
have
now.
one place that I really, liked. When things were still open, I managed to go there.
Where?
There's a cat cafe in Maastricht, and they also have all vegan options in the cafe.
Okay.
So you get to sit and have your coffee and stuff with cats. So that was one of my favorites.
And you?
I love that cafe too. But besides that, I would say in Vic there are really nice brunch places, and also generally in the city center the bars are really nice to have a drink with your friends and to chat. And we love burritos on the market. It's really student-friendly prices burritos, so I think that's probably the first thing where I will go to once we're back open.
Yeah, I mean, ladies, thank you. As you can see, there are so many different options when you're coming to study at Maastricht University. We have a lot of master studies. However, the website gives you a complete overview of what the website offers, what the admissions requirements are, the scholarship that Daniele also explained, what you have to know, what you have to use, and where you have to apply for. There are few opportunities for scholarships, but as we also discussed, there are other opportunities for you to kind of decide to come to Maastricht University. It is, from personal experience, a great place for students to study. There are so many different clubs where, in case you want to, get new experiences or, join other different groups to make more friends, you are very welcome to join. And finding a room is not really the way it used to be, but there are some tips that students can give you in order to apply. So again, please visit the website if you have any questions, and you can get in touch with other people. There's also an email in case that your Q&A was not answered in the questions, or your question was not answered in the answers that were given by my fellow master students. You can send it to join-us@maastrichtuniversity.nl. And there's also going to be a virtual Masters Open Day on the 6th of March, which is very helpful because you can just zoom in from your bed. Actually, you don't have to leave your house or fly all the way to Maastricht. But if you have the chance, please visit. And we want to wish you best of luck with your choice. Happy holidays, and hopefully see you next academic year.